Welcome back, everybody. We've got one of the questions that was asked about Amy's Road. Lynette has diligently worked over the morning tea break and got some information, which she will share with us. And then Sam will get us up to speed on where the amendments are actually at, because a little bit of the wording's changed in some of them. But go for your life, Lynette.
Kia ora tātou. Yes, and I have to thank this team for getting those for us. So we were talking about Amy Springs and Springs Awatea, and in the system they're actually ranked as two separate intersections, which they are. They're an offset intersection. So really quickly, Amy Springs is ranked medium low, and it is number 639 in the collective risk list, so it's very low. And Springs Awatea is medium low as well, and it is 286. So they are quite low in the respective. Yeah. Sometimes it happens when intersections are a bit more difficult, people take their time, and so you don't get but it's a very uncomfortable intersection to drive through. I do agree with Councillor Peters.
Thank you, Lynette.
Thank you, Lynette.
Okay, Sam?
So I'm just going to use this microphone. So there has been an update to Amendment 1, which Tyrone and Councillor Harrison Hunt are happy with. There's also been an update to Amendment 4 from Councillor Henstock and Keown, and also a very minor change to Amendment 10, which Councillor Johansson was happy to. It was just removing one of the deferrals, which was just a minor, I suppose, error in that. So they're the three changes. Number 4, please, Karen.
Okay. Well, good. Thank you, Sam. Right. We will now debate all amendments and any other matters in Resolution 2 together. A reminder that councillors will have a further chance to debate the overall draft annual plan in the next section. So one debate, 5 minutes each councillor for all amendments and Resolution 2. And I know Pauline's been waiting for this because we're going to go around the table and start with her first.
But just a process question first. I thought we were going to have the rates increase impact alongside these before we voted on them, surely.
Well, we've been told what the number...
The overall position, which would be 5.7.
Yeah, but some are bigger than others.
If all of them... No, I shouldn't say that.
That's all.
We have had that in the past.
Yeah, where we can do it.
Yeah.
Well, we are signing off a draft budget.
Correct.
So if we
Correct,
don't know
yeah.
the numbers, it's a bit difficult. Is it take too long to calculate? Or? I mean, some of them will have no impact at all. I understand
Just
that.
through you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
So certainly where there's an OPEX change, we can give the quantities for that and have already done so, but we can go over again as we come through each one. So far as the CapEx matters go, they're generally not of a huge nature, so they really move, because they're debt funded, loan funded, they virtually don't move the dial at all. So it's, yeah.
Even that would help if we knew which ones were CapEx and which ones were OPEX implications.
Okay, so the only two that are operational are the Community Endowment Fund and the excess water.
I do understand though that Paul that
Both of those,
yeah, yeah, correct. And we're not actually asking to amend that CEF1, are you? You're just saying you want to put it in the consultation.
Yep, exactly.
So it's really OPEX is just point 1.
Yep.
Just for the councillors' benefit, it needs to get to about 2 million of capital changes to actually get an impact on the rates. Okay.
Okay. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, Paul. Very good.
Thank you, Pauline. So she's all yours for 5 minutes.
All right. Actually, haven't got much to say. What? No.
That just shows it's been a very good process.
Well, it has, and we've got to remember that we're asking the people what they think about this. It's been a long process. So at the moment we're just talking about the amendments, and then we'll come back to the annual plan correct later. So I'm not comfortable with number 4. I think it's rather, quite frankly, a little bit disingenuous because we've had answers from staff today that things have changed in that program and we're still waiting for confirmation for Waka Kotahi before we can begin construction anyway. The question would remain to me that if we had a surprise and we got that funding through earlier than we thought, then we might want to start it. So I really not in favour of supporting that one today, and nor the excess water charge. And both of those have got a severe deja vu all over again kind of feel about them. I'd really like them put to bed once and for all. So that's me today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. James.
Very sensible.
James is fine. Victoria? Don't all go too quick because I haven't written mine yet.
Can I say, Pauline, you've set the standard.
Excuse me, point of order. I said that I'll speak with my vote. I think
Victoria, please.
Say something.
Well, I do think it's incumbent on me to reference my own amendment, and that is to not commence construction on Wheels to Wings Cycleway on Hillwood Road for a period of up to 12 months. You heard staff say that there was some construction planned, albeit not significant. The important thing is that this amendment prevents construction contracts being signed. And essentially what the amendment does, it allows the local councillors to work with staff and the affected communities to try and get some better alignment on this project. Regardless of how much hard work and engagement the staff have done, and they have, that's not in dispute, we know that the project has not landed well with certain parts of the local community. And we all know that if we want to create some sustainable change for good in our communities, then we have to take the community on the journey and not force the change on them. I think that ultimately we should be having better cycle user stats by now, given the significant financial investment in the cycling infrastructure, but the fact remains that we haven't at the moment. So we have to start doing some things differently, and this is an example of this. You often hear the staff talk about expert opinions obtained to inform their projects. Well, I just want to raise the question, what about the locals' opinions? Because after all, our locals in our neighbourhoods are experts at living in their local neighbourhoods, and I'd really like to see their opinions being given some equal weight and not push down the hierarchy of opinions, so to speak. So what this amendment does, it allows us to work with the community in a different way, which is utilising the local councillors as an effective conduit. And the locals that I've heard from say that they have not had that opportunity to do that as an effective voice for them. So I'm asking you, councillors, to support this, to support doing something differently, to try and get better alignment, which ultimately gets a better result for our community. And we all want increased public trust and confidence. So this allows some bespoke engagement with the affected community. And I think it sends a really clear message. We are listening. Please help us to get a better result for your community. Please engage with us. We're giving you another opportunity to do that. Now, staff have said that the funding for construction from Waka Kotahi is not secure. That's new to all of us. This amendment actually helps them, I think, so that can't be ignored. And the staff on this occasion are supporting this amendment to work with the councillors and the affected community. So I thank Lynette and her team for working with me and Councillor Kewen to get this amendment on the table and for indicating their support for it today. So let's do this. In relation to the other amendments, there's just a couple. One was in relation to the excess water charges. I understand the reasoning for the charges, and it's pleasing to see some really good results, some changing behaviours around the water use and the repair of the leaks. My initial concerns about equity have for the most part been allayed. I think the amendment really reflects the sentiments expressed by my local community, and that is that the rate is too low and it adversely and disproportionately affects large families. Coming from a family of 9 children, I know what the queue is like for the bathroom in the morning. I know about using a lot of water. So at this stage, I'm minded to support the increase, and it is a compromise, and I accept that. The other one I want to touch on is the amendment by Councillor Donovan, and that's for the public realm improvements for New Brighton. Given the significant private investment in the public realm and the complementary nature of this works, it makes no sense to defer this. So I think that bringing forward the allocated funding allows the project to be completed in its entirety, and this plays a really vital part in getting the community on the right path. The final one that I'll just quickly make a comment on is the annual uniform charge. Councillor McClellan,
The fact is that some things cost the same regardless of where you live in the city, and it's a zero-sum game for the council. For every person that wants an increase or a decrease, and for every person that wants a decrease in the UIC, there'll be a corresponding person who wants the increase. What resonated with me is that this is a significant departure from current policy, and we already have one of the lowest metropolitan UICs. So those are things that impact on my decision making, and I am happy to let others who are more informed on some of the other amendments speak to those amendments to help inform my decision making today. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim, please.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, I'd like to start by thanking Councillor Johansson for putting up substitutions. Seems that he's done that more than some of the others around the table, so I just wanted to acknowledge him for that. Just comment on a couple of things. The uniform annual general charge. To me, I think before we look at or even look at changing anything along those lines, we need to understand better who is going to be taking some heavy lifting economically. And I do believe it's the middle income earners. They've been hit with the increase of the value for their properties. They've been hit with inflation, increased prices, and generally their wages haven't changed. If you are going to be a surgeon or a medical specialist, and this isn't going to touch you at all. It's irrelevant what it is. But I believe we have to have far more information before we look at changing anything like this. It's certainly not going to affect the overseas owners who own multiple rental properties for Airbnb and others who have no realistic opinion on the cost of living in New Zealand. So I wouldn't want to touch that at the moment. With regards to the water, I would actually like to see it from $899 total charge from then, so 900 and over, and obviously if there are issues, then that can always be, whether they are medical or other, we can look at it from there. But I prefer it to be a lot cleaner than 7 to 9. We just So, but that's just my personal opinion. It's always really hard. We've worked hard, and I want to especially thank Dawn and her staff, because they're technically not our staff; they're Dawn's staff, for the work that they have done, getting our rates down to a manageable, I believe, and realistic level. Anything that we put up, however small, will in some way impact it. If you run a business, it is watch the cents and the dollars will mind themselves, and I think that we have to carry that around this table as well. Thank you.
Oh, sorry, Kelly. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Mayor Phil. So most of these amendments I'm actually not going to support. I just want to mention Councillor McClellan's desire to assist lower socioeconomics with change in the UAGC. I admire that. I think, however, as mentioned, the UAGC is a blunt instrument. So I think we probably need a different vehicle to do that. So while I like the sentiment, I won't be supporting it. In terms of the wings to wheels, I feel that was decided by the last council. It's not a cycleway I would have designed as someone who does an awful lot of cycling. And again, watching the videos of some of the people cycling down Harewood Road, those are people that I wouldn't cycle with, because I thought some of those videos were just madness, cycling in the middle of the lane. But anyway, I think that was decided by the last council, and I'm happy for that to continue. Again, I would never have designed the cycleway that particular way, but what do I know? As far as water charges are concerned, I feel like, again, we've set a path, and changing that path would lead to confusion. And I think we need to stick with the changes we've made. I think they're sensible. They're not perfect, but with continual adjustment, they will get better and better. The one that I will support in particular is, as previous chair of the community board out in Waitai Coastal Waters, the New Brighton works, public realm improvements. We've seen New Brighton transform over the last few years, and I definitely want to see that continue. I'd love to see some substitution for that, because at the end of the day, rates already at 5.58. I wouldn't like to see rates go, the increase go much beyond that. yeah, so that's where I sit on those. That's all.
Thank you, Jake.
I would really encourage colleagues to embrace the opportunity to increase the equity of our rating system and at the very least support the conversation we should be having about the subject. That's why I'm proposing that we reduce the Uniform Annual General Charge, or the UAGC as it's more commonly referred. The UAGC is a flat component to our rate bill. A flat tax, of course, means everyone pays the same amount no matter their means. We actually have several flat taxes on the books, however the UAGC is the largest. It should go without saying that any flat tax is regressive in nature and inherently unfair. In effect, the UAGC is basically a portion of your tax bill that would otherwise be assessed according to your capital value and therefore means tested. Capital value being the best means test we have available, which is of course the worth of your home. So councillors need to ask themselves, is it fair that if you own a home worth $600,000, you would pay the same amount as someone with a home worth $6 million? I don't think anyone around this table would argue that was fair. So why is it acceptable for a portion of someone's rate bill to be treated unfairly? Compared to other cities, we have a low level of flat tax, but no matter the amount, no amount would be better. After all, a little of a bad thing is still a bad thing, and a bad tax is very bad, fixed falling rate or not. At a time when the east of the city is facing a 12% rate hike, now is the time to have the conversation about our rate system. That is even more, so that we can implement a system that is even more based on capital value and less regressive. Now, thanks to the average increase in value in the east, they won't benefit as much, but they will still benefit the most. In fact, when I crunched the numbers a few years ago, I worked out that, and staff agreed, that 82% of households would be better off with a completely capital value-based system. This would be if we didn't change the business differential. That's an option we should look at some point in the future. If you believe in progressive taxation, if you believe in means-based tax system, then I would encourage colleagues to jump on the opportunity to have this discussion with the public and ask the people of Christchurch, do they want a system where everyone pays by means or a user pays system where people pay regardless of the circumstance? You never know, Aaron, some people out there might just say yes to everyone paying the same. When it comes to Ferry Road, I would love to send the signal that we support this project because of course we do. But that would be a meaningless signal because we've heard that the transport program is full, so bringing money forward wouldn't do anything other than set an undeliverable expectation. What good is that going to do? I can't tell you what good it will do, I can tell you what harm it'll do. We've heard cutting funding for the stadium street surround would result in a delay because the work is already in progress. And, well, if your real intention is to cut the project anyway, then I suppose that's good. But what we know is that would mean finishing these roads after the stadium opens, and that could push a whole bunch of extra traffic management costs onto this council. All in service of bringing forward a project that wouldn't actually happen any sooner in the real world. Worse than that, it would set the expectation that this work could progress any quicker, and we've already heard that it won't.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jake. Andre.
Yeah, so we've got 11 amendments in front of us, and I guess there's something that concerns me is we've got 11 amendments which will add expense, add to rates, but we haven't brought any amendments to the table that offer any cuts or reductions to rates. Is I guess my first concern here. Well, this is my first time involved in this process, so certainly learning a lot from it. But that's my first concern. I am going to be happy to support some of these. I'll vote against others. I don't see too much harm in sending some of them to a public consultation where, you're limited for what you can chop and change with an annual plan. And ideally you want, because we have to go through this public consultation anyway, you do want to make it as meaningful as you can. So it will be useful to have some of these issues on the table to be debated, get public feedback on, and again, there's still the opportunity to remove things by the time we actually formally adopt the annual plan in a few months' time. So that's where I'm at with that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Aaron?
Yeah, I'll just try and quickly touch on 3 subjects, and like Andre just mentioned, this is about what's going up for consultation, not what's been signed off per se. So let's hear from people. And oddly, I am actually okay if people vote to hear from the public on the UAGC. I obviously don't agree with Jake's position. I think it kind of reeks of elitism, and I, having grown up in St John Street, Woolston, as a young kid, and prior to that, when my mother and I lived in a boarding house in Sheldon Street, Woolston, as I got older, to about intermediate age, and started to understand what taxing was and rates and so on and so forth, I was dumbstruck when I found out that my cousins that lived in Avonhead paid a different amount into the city's kitty for their ownership of the city. The kid growing up in Woolston didn't realise he had less skin in the game, and he found it really, really offensive. Growing up knowing that my cousins owned more of the city than I did because they put more money into the kitty to look after it. That's how it feels for people sometimes when we talk about the disparities between the rich and the poor. Some of them actually want to pay their fair share and are okay to do so. That aside, on the water, my house now is in Harewood, no longer Woolston. We have plenty of water there. In Harewood, it was all peat out the back of us there. My house now is on gravel. It's where the Waimak riverbed once went through. So this summer, haven't watered the lawns. They're brown. It scratches my son's feet because he likes to play cricket in summer. We go out in the backyard and play cricket. He plays in bare feet. I wear shoes because I'm a softie. Scratches his feet, not in a good way, because it is literally completely burnt off. My fruit trees, I haven't watered them this year. 28 fruit trees I planted in my edible landscape. Most of them have had a really, really crap harvest and look quite terrible. That's the result of not watering. I thought I'll do an experiment for one summer. Luckily, I'm in the privileged position to still be able to afford to buy fruit in, but the trees themselves haven't done that well. And then I hear from other people, Yarni's ward, which has a considerably high amount of sand, they have to overwater as well. So the excess watering charge, I think, is punishing people in the city in a way that is not their fault. They chose to live or move to or were born into the Garden City, and it should still remain the Garden City, and we should be picking up our end of the infrastructure so the pressure's not on the system. And when people come to me and complain, well, what about all of your leaks? We should fix those first before we start charging other people. So I just want to say on the water charging, I will support going up to the 900. Does it fix the problem? No, we're still going to get heaps of people complain, and I really hope they do during this annual plan process. Let us know. There's no point in telling us in shopping malls and pubs and weddings what they don't like about the council. They need to tell us during the annual plan or the long-term plan. And then finally, on the wheels to wings, I seconded Victoria's motion on this, or the amendment, sorry. I support it because all the way through this process, I've been about the outcome. The outcome, for me, is getting more people on bikes, not just building big cycleways, not doing it to communities, trying to do it with communities. And I believe the reason why cycling numbers have plateaued off is because we're not taking people on the journey enough. Cycling is fun and cool. It is not dangerous, except in particular videos when you ride in the middle of the road. It can get quite dangerous and you've got your fisheye lens on. But and if anyone out there does find it dangerous, more than happy to take people out for cycling lessons anytime. I'm sure Kelly would do the same, because I can show you again how it is fun and how it is cool. And that offer goes to anyone at this table as well. It's a great city to cycle in. People should be out enjoying it, not being told to be scared of it. So support it, because Victoria and I want to work with our communities to get an outcome where they will embrace a cycleway that will go through there, not be 75% against.
Thank you, Aaron. Yanni.
Thank you. I've put forward a number of amendments. I'll just quickly say that I strongly support consulting on the UAGC. Remember, that's just a consultation, and I think it is an important conversation to have, particularly for people in my area who are facing, massive rates increases of 12 to 13%. Well, there's other parts of the city that have none or actually have a decrease. So welcome that. I just wanted to focus on several of the amendments that I've put forward. The first is around the Ferry Road active transport plan, because it seems to me inherently unfair that when the community come and make submissions to our LTP and our annual plan and are told that a project's on budget and is going to happen, that without any public consultation or engagement process, we defer that project and effectively kill it off for several years. The reality is that the active road project in Ferry Road to improve the pedestrian crossing safety around Olivia's and Matheson's Road was supposed to be being consulted on right now as we sit here today. I was told it would be taking place early in 2023 with construction forecast for early 2024. I was told that the total funding that was available was $667,000. So I can see no reason why that project is incapable of being delivered, given the designs have been done, it's ready for consultation, and there's been an expectation in the community that it would happen. If we can't deliver something as simple as some safe pedestrian crossings against a really busy road in a community that has been waiting over 10 years with the loss of the local school and the kids having to walk along the dangerous Ferry Road and cross it to Te Waka Inua, then I think there's something inherently wrong with how we're doing things. And maybe we need to think about, have we just overcomplicated program delivery to a point where things cost a huge amount of money and take a huge amount of time when we could be doing it in a much better and more efficient way. But fundamentally, it is inherently unfair for us today to effectively kill this project in the current financial year for a draft annual plan budget for next year, which is what this decision will do. And that's why I've put the amendment forward to undo that. I also want to talk about the cycleways, because we heard last week that people did not want us to defer the cycleways. So I'm suggesting with a small reduction in the Te Kaha Streets budgets that we can keep money on to enable the design of the Apawaho Heathcote River route and the Otakaro Avon River route. And I think it's inherently important that we do that, because there's a whole bunch of other projects that are happening in synergy with those proposed cycleways. And if we don't do the design work now, we run the risk of not getting the best, most efficient design. So I urge my colleagues not to support deferring the MCRs as is being proposed in this draft annual plan, to keep the money on budget. The reality is that for the CRAF funding, it isn't, again, inherently unfair that the CRAF funding was approved. Some of those projects were approved well before the Te Kaha Streets projects were approved by this council. And yet, we haven't even started to consult on some of those. Some of those projects were to deal with safety around schools, like Te Aratai and Linwood Ave, which have been rebuilt. So it's all very well saying that wouldn't it be poor if we don't have a stadium and all the streets gold-plated around it done in time. The reality is we've got schools in our local communities that have already been rebuilt that have not had the safety improvements for the kids and the children and the families that use those schools. I don't want to delay that anymore. Let's get on and get the CRAF projects delivered in accordance with what we said we would do with government. I cannot support us consistently delaying those and not being able to get them done. And I think it's a small price to pay that for a few of the streets, such as Litchfield Street, which is in relatively good condition, that should get an upgrade and be gold-plated, while the streets outside our local schools, which are dangerous, should not be improved. So I urge you to support those amendments. I've put them forward with a small reduction so that they can occur, and I think that's entirely appropriate. And I just finally wanted to just say that one of the really important things that we should do around our water excess charges is to take people with us. Now, unfortunately, since the start of this conversation, we have had delay after delay with things like water meter readings, exemptions being agreed. And I was given assurance when we consulted on the LTP that people would be able to understand what their water use was. And yet, even today, when I've looked online at the Water Reporter, there are some households that still don't have 4 readings to be able to see the trends with which they're using water. So I've had people contact me in Bromley at the fair over the weekend who are really concerned, who want to do the right thing, want to save water, but they're saying work with us rather than penalise us first. So I support increasing the limit.
Thank you, Yanni. Celeste.
going to focus on the amendment that I've put forward. I just want to acknowledge all the work that's been done across the board by staff before I begin. I know this is very complex, and I appreciate all the time they put into responding to all the amendments. I just also want to note that, you know, we're a decade on from the earthquakes, and we can feel really proud of the progress we've made, particularly in the city centre. I think one of the things that's really important to remember is that some of the best things that have come through the rebuild process is that working with community and the private sector with council support is where we see the best results. A good example of this is the Share idea, which was a conversation with the community about how they wanted their central city redeveloped, and we've seen that that's fed into the central city development plan. Now we have a similar opportunity to support a community-led regeneration project in a part of the city that was badly impacted by the earthquakes, and this will also contribute to the wider regeneration of our city. This community-led project is funded by $2.5 million of a grant from the Canterbury Earthquake Appeal Trust, which will turn 1,000 square metres of vacant land behind Marine Parade's Pierside building into a village green. So this village green will become a community hub, and as I've already said, this is going to be a space where people can meet. There will be performances, and it's also a community space for young people, and we've also got the community organisation also has a youth hub as part of the plans. So today's vote is about showing that council is enabling this work to happen. It's about keeping momentum towards the realisation of the rebuild of our city, including the new Brighton Master Plan. Bringing forward funding in the current annual plan is about aligning work between the private sector and the community. This is the most cost-effective option because delaying this planning and consultation work will add further costs down the track. This work needs to happen now because it needs to align with other council projects which are currently underway in this area. So the timing is critical, and delays risk holding back progress on these ancillary works. We've purchased land as part of the Oromav extension. The Westpac Trust building is due for demolition this month, and this will create a north-south link through the commercial centre, so it's a key part of this regeneration effort. We also know that there's a significant amount of housing going in around the commercial core. Work has commenced on the Seaview development, which is 1.6 hectares, where site preparation works have been underway for some time, and we've got 70 new townhouses going in there. Another street alongside the mall, Bereford Street, which is just on the commercial fringe, has work underway, and we're expecting another 200 residents across the wider commercial area. So in brief, this project is about collaboration between the community, the private sector and council, and I ask that you consider supporting this project through the annual plan process so we can complete the entire reinvention of the New Brighton Mall as one complete project. This is about supporting the private, the public and the community sector to deliver, which is something that will benefit not only residents in the east but our entire city.
Thank you, Celeste. Mark?
Very good, thank you for the opportunity. I'd like to start by thanking Dawn and her staff for all the magnificent work they've done over the last few months to get this draft annual plan to the state where it is. It is truly appreciated by the community to get lacing that figure as best we can. I guess my primary reason for speaking this debate is to speak to the amendment that I've put in for the Awatea Springs Amy's intersection and why we should be supporting having that in our draft annual plan. As you've heard when I introduced this, this has been deferred from the pre-earthquake days. This intersection was deemed in need of signalisation and upgrade prior to the earthquakes. Since the earthquakes delayed it, we've accepted a heck of a lot of earthquake refugees into that southwest area. You think about the Wigram airfield existed pre-quakes. That is now absolutely chocker with residents and houses. Awatea area, the Awatea Green and so forth down Awatea Road didn't exist. So there's been thousands upon thousands of extra residents in that area which are all trying to squeeze through those two intersections to get to where they want to go to do their shopping at the Hornby hub. So trying to get through the South Hornby suburb has become an absolute nightmare. It's dangerous. You take your life in your hands when you're trying to get out of those intersections. And the congestion, when you're banked up the entire length of Amy's Road through peak hours, it's just unacceptable on the neighbours. The neighbourhoods there are having running happening through the residential streets simply to try and bypass the congestion that's happening. So this pair of intersections, you heard from the staff that they are lowly ranked, but I beg to differ in the fact that yes, their ranking might be low on the measures that are used, but the impact on the community has been enormous, continues to be enormous daily, and we're long overdue to get these intersections upgraded to improve the flow and ability to get in and around that South Hornby through to Hallswell area and Wigram. So please support this and get this out for consultations. It's a mere $107,000 to be brought forward that I'm asking to get the process underway, so that we can start to get the wheels turning on getting this happening. Other than that, the uniform annual charge, our community board asked for this to be, I think, even dropped in its previous submissions in previous years. So I will be supporting that because we need to do everything we can right now to get some equity back into the rates increases, so that those who are accepting the highest increases out in Bromley and the likes can have less impact on them by having this simple little change. So due to my board previously supporting and I can see the sense in this, I'm happy to support that. Wheels to wings, I'm a big believer in build it once and build it right, and any consultation with the community that the councillors can do, we should be encouraging and trying to get these little teething issues ironed out before the cycleway gets thrust through that community. I think let's get that right, so I'll definitely support that. The excess water charging, I'm hearing from my community that the system that we're using for the excess water charges is not very well liked out there, and I think by moving this upwards in the way to the 900 litre limit is a step in the right direction and gets that little bit extra into this equity of that. So happy to support that. New Brighton, hey, that's a no-brainer. When you've got the private investment going into there and the other grant investment, then New Brighton's so long overdue for some tender love and care, and it needs to be a point of pride in our city. And also happy to support the head-to-head amendment that Councillor Tyrone has put through. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Tyler?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tēnā rā tātou katoa. I wasn't going to add to debate, but Councillor Kewen lit a fire under me, so I appreciate that, my mate. Oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start. The term elitism, it's a easily thrown around thing from the right to try and stop the left from pushing through for things like the UAGC. When we're talking about the UAGC, Councillor Kewen was elaborating to when he was a child, and when he was a child in the 1980s, it has now risen to 263%. Inflation has risen from 263%, going from $1 to $3.63 here today. So this is a completely different situation we're in. Our generation are completely different to the generation that have come before us. So when we're talking about things like this, we're talking about elitism around not being able to water our trees, our veggie gardens, our fruit trees, when we know that there's poverty everywhere and children are unable to go to lunch to have good fruit. They actually buy sherbet. They buy Just Juice and Raro packets to have for lunch. They crunch up noodles. This is fact. And when we're talking about this around the table, everyone keeps saying, I think. I'm having a really hard time trying to process ifs, ands, and buts, and maybes, when fact is fact. And we need to back things up with proper study, with proper knowledge, and with experts that are sitting around us today. In regards to Wheels to Wings, I am in support of this on the basis of that it does not throw or defer anything. The staff told me that this does not defer anything. All it does is consults with the community and talks a bit more about it. I'm absolutely in favour of that, and I'm okay with that. It is not a financial deficit to us, so I'm okay with that. In regards to the water rates, I have a family of 4. We have around 5 showers a day. We do 2 loads of washing, a dishwasher, and at the same time I've got 2 veggie gardens and water. All of my grizzolinia is sitting around the hedge. So, and I use 690 litres. So putting that into perspective, it's a lot easier for me to be able to understand that 735 is actually okay. I'm okay with this. We have a family of 5. My other family, they live up the road and they're using around the same. 2 kids, 2 parents, and a cousin. So it's absolutely fine for me to go around the 735 mark. In regards to the other ones around New Brighton, I'm in full support of that. I'm all about the community and making sure that New Brighton comes up a little bit. I got there a little bit, took my daughter there, absolutely loved the place, but it is in dire need of work. So I appreciate everyone's recommendations around the table, and we'll be happy to support most of these amendments today. And yeah, kia ora.
Far away, Sarah.
Kia ora koutou. It's nice to see a much shorter list of amendments this year. And while we've got a longer debate, I think the meeting overall will be shorter, which is actually really good. We've worked through a lot of stuff as a council already, and this is a tweak ahead of the long-term plan. When it comes to the water excess charges, it's really clear from the really good and thorough information that we've had today that people's fears have been unfounded. There are only 194 properties across the city on shared meters that could be eligible to be charged that won't be. And those properties will be getting meters, individual ones, over the next wee while, so they will be able to be charged next year. So the fears about it being completely unfair because of the shared meters have been unfounded. I'm looking forward to that information being more widely known by the public, because that will help people see that that's the case. If we shift this up to 900 litres and 700, we're going to shift the burden of rates from the 4% who use 23% of our residential water supply onto all ratepayers, and that is not fair. A change now would also be a logistical nightmare for staff trying to recoup current invoices when people might think that they might not be charged, and being chased up on that, while people might be applying for refunds based on the fact that we're charging the limits. It would be a logistical nightmare for staff, and quite a task, I think. When it comes to the general transport stuff, I get Councillor Johansson's frustrations, and we need to be able to scale up over time as a council to deliver on the projects that we want to see. But the focus constantly on the things that aren't getting done and the things that individuals would like to see brought forward really belies the fact of the enormous amount of work that we are doing in the transport space. We are currently, as we debate, building cycleways across the city. We have more cycleways approved for the next financial year, including a whole pile of those local connections that communities have been after. And I'm looking forward to seeing those ones done. The noting provision that Councillor Donovan's put forward talks about the Avon-o-Takaro route, which is actually the direct one. It doesn't follow the river and it's going to go down Pages Road. So that needs to be changed on the cycleways map, please. So that one, making sure that we deliver that in line with the LTP may mean additional funding in the following year to make sure that the planning is really ramped up. And I'd really like us to look at that. I do agree with Councillor McClellan that making promises for things that we actually can't deliver is really unhelpful. It breaks trust with council. And Councillor Johansson is always the first one to point out when we've promised something and we don't deliver. When it comes to the wheels to wings, I find it an odd amendment from Councillors Henstock and Ewan, but I'm pleased to see them switch from what they had been asking for, which is a redesign of the scheme, of the route, to working with the communities on the smaller details as part of the detailed design. Things like the access around driveways, those kind of things that are part of detailed design, and a right to be working with the community to make sure we get those things right so that we're not inconveniencing people or doing things without the knowledge. However, I know that Councillor Kewen's community will be disappointed at this enforced delay in construction, meaning that if the design was finalised and funding there from Waka Kotahi in place, we wouldn't be able to start work on the Harewood-Breens Gardens intersection upgrade. And I'd just like to let Councillor Henstock know when it comes to the cycle user data that she's after, we have a lot of it. It's all open source data available online that you can check on our SmartView website at any stage. We've seen a steady increase, including, most importantly, from women. So we know that our major cycle routes have increased the number of women cycling, both to the city on those major cycle routes and through our city in our slow streets and our nice shared paths around the river. We've gone to 42%, up from under 30% cycling in the city. In our suburbs and in the middle of the city, we're up to 46%. Cycleways are gender equity, they're climate action, and it's great to see this one going ahead, and I won't be voting for anything that has the potential of deferring work any further. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. Tyrone?
Kia ora. So the head-to-head walkways really got the potential to be the finest walk in this city. It's, if it isn't already, and it probably is. Stop bickering, you lot. I'm talking. So the communities around Whakaraupo, Littleton Harbour are really, really supportive of it. They're enthusiastic about it, and there are groups of volunteers and other groups who are absolutely willing to get in there and get stuff done on this one. Like it's a lot of it's been done, but I just think that we just need to keep the ante up on it, keep the focus on it, and I think change things a little bit differently, and I think that we can really get ahead on that in showing a commitment to that program. So I'm obviously supporting that. I'll strongly support consulting on the UAGC. Let's listen to the people on that and get some good qualitative data and ideas rather than speculate on it as we have been doing. On Councillor Henstock's amendment number 4, I've got actually no reason to not support this. I think we need to approach it in good faith, and I strongly believe that if we take the community along for the ride, as it were, we'll get a better outcome overall for the community and the planet. I just want to make it very, very clear that I'm absolutely committed to the Wheels to Wings cycleway. I'm committed to it getting constructed as quickly as possible. I'm overall very, very happy with the design of it, but I just think that a little bit of pragmatism doesn't go amiss here, so I'm happy to support Councillor Henstock's amendment there. For number 5, I cannot in good conscience support the amendment for excess water charges, even though I would personally stand to gain from it. The process is working. We need more data before we start trying to second guess the outcomes, because that would be like nailing jelly to a wall, in my view. Shifting the goalposts like this does nobody any good, and I believe the provisions in place are good. Staff have put a heap of work into it, and if you need to keep watering your lawn across the summer, just so you can look at how green it is, I think you should get out more and spend the money you'll save on supporting local businesses. And into the bargain, your lawn will end up looking like a fifth-day wicket in Mumbai that will really test your defensive technique. There's a wee cricket gag in there for you. How is the cricket going, by the way? So I'm also supportive of Councillor Donovan's proposed amendment and Councillor Peters' proposed amendment number 8. Kia ora.
Thank you. Melanie, please.
I give a cricket gag, but I haven't watched cricket since Richard Hadley was playing. And I wasn't going to debate because I would suspect that everyone can probably guess how I'd vote on every single amendment. But well, anyway, I thought, here we go. So this year, with the financial situation in the world, we are aiming to keep the rates increase as low as possible, and we've done a really great job. Staff have worked exceedingly hard to achieve this. So I certainly won't support any changes to the excess water charges that will result in an increase in rates for everyone. An increase to the volume before the excess water charge is applied just works against the aim of the charge. And I will read again what went into the paper the other day. Charging for excess water, this is a news line if people want to look it up on the internet, charging for excess water use will help us manage the water demand better and also reduce our pumping costs over summer. That benefits us all. Long term, we won't need to spend as much money expanding our water supply network, and will also improve the sustainability of our city's water supply, which aligns with our climate change goals. Enough said. I'll support Councillor McClellan, his amendment on the UAGC to reduce that. Anything that council can do to ease the burden on lower income families, we should consider seriously and ask our residents for feedback about it. Let's remember, and Councillor McClellan already said this earlier, but let's remember that the values of homes in areas such as Worston, Bexley, Ferrymead, Bromley, Aranui, Burwood and Avondale have increased significantly. They've resulted in an increase to their rates at around 12%. Now that's more than twice the average rates increase for the average household. And households, it's more than 5 times the increase of households in places in the west, like Island, Pendleton and Burnside. Those are more affluent areas, and they're looking at rates increases under 2%. So that UAGC, and to look at that and where that fits, is absolutely valid. So I'm really just looking forward to going to consultation. I really want to see what people have to say. We are just going out to consultation now. We will make a proper decision once we've heard from everyone in the city, and I hope to hear from lots.
Samuel.
Yeah, thank you. Just a couple of things. Firstly, I actually really enjoy these debates because I can see people's positions changing on different things as people talk, and I find that particularly useful. I'm more than happy to support, and I don't say this very often, Yanni, Celeste and Tyrone and Mark on their amendments, because I think this is the point of this stuff. We work... What's that? Yeah. What I didn't say is even if Tyler did put one up, I wouldn't support it, but that's okay. The reality is the whole point of this is we agree overall on a picture. There are local issues in local communities where people think actually they deserve some more attention. Then as an elected council, we can set that direction. And I kind of get where Sarah's coming from, a lot of the time. Actually, no, I don't. Some of the time around this stuff. But actually, we should never think for a moment that we can't be an imposition to the council staff if we want something done. So we shouldn't say it's too hard to do something. We should actually, if we want to do it, we're the elected people of Christchurch, we should make that a priority for them, but substitute things out along the way. The excess water charge, look, the world I live in, every time I go through the supermarket, I get someone stop me complaining about it. And I think actually, why don't we go out and listen to them? If they come back over this period of time and say, actually, no, we don't want the limit to go up, we think it's more than happy, then actually, we can listen to that. But I think the way it's been handled so far, with the 700, then the 900, and you get charged at 901 for back to 700, I just think we need to be a lot clearer with the community. So I think if we could go and actually consult them, and like I say, if they come back and don't want it, then that's point one on the rates for that. Wheels to Wings, I'm more than happy to support Victoria and Aaron on that. I think it's a really pragmatic, sensible approach, and I think what I really liked about that was it isn't just saying we don't want something. What it's saying is actually, both of you are committed to working with the council staff to find a good outcome for that community. And Aaron, to your credit, that's all you've ever wanted, is actually a sensible solution that the people in that community want. What that looks like, we'll wait and see. But I think you two should be tasked with working through that over the coming wee while. Just the only other thing is around the UAGC, and I know Tyler mentioned there are experts at the end of the table that look at this stuff. The experts are actually saying they don't support the change, and I think we do need to be cognizant of that, just in terms of how we consider it as a whole. But fundamentally, and I know people always do like to pick on the northwest of Christchurch, but we shouldn't forget that just because the revaluations have changed this year doesn't negate the fact that for many, many years they have been paying substantially more than the rest of the city. By nature, just because the goalpost changed doesn't mean we should screw the scrum, because it is a one-off thing. I think what we should have done, and we'll probably debate it later on, is look further at how we can reduce expenditure within council to minimise that overall impact. And again, we voted that down in November of last year. So I'm not sure screwing the scrum now is actually the most pragmatic approach, but in the end we'll see what people come back with. So I just do hope that people can look at that excess water charge. Let's just have that short, concise conversation with the public. There's a month where they can consult on it. In the end, if they come back and say let's not lift the limit, then it's as dead as a duck. It's done. We move on. But I just think in a democracy, when people are feeding back they're unhappy with it, we are derelict in our duties to not go and look at it again, and I think we can. So my preference would have been to remove it altogether, but actually talking to the council lawyers, they've said no, that would be a long-term plan thing. I still do struggle to reconcile how you can materially change the UAGC, but you can't do something around excess water charge. But what we've come up with is, I think, a compromise which hopefully lets us listen to the community. So I would really strongly encourage people to support that if they want to listen to the community on an issue that doesn't seem to be going away, and that, like I say, we get continual feedback on.
Thank you very much. It's me. Before I get started, I'd just like to say I'd like to congratulate all of you on the debate, being very professional, and so thank you very much. I think we've done a hell of a lot in a very short time today, so it's good. I'll start off with Harewood Road. In my view, I'll support what has been put forward. We haven't worked well with residents, and we haven't worked well with some stakeholders, the residents, the bakery, especially the charity hospital, which is very dear to my heart. We could get it, and they are definitely not happy. You just got to go and talk to the two people that run it, and they are not happy at all. So I'm looking forward to these two councillors being able to work with them and get a result, best result for all concerned. Don't forget that this is just going out for consultation only, so just following along from what Sam said about the water. If people come back to us and say, yeah, we're happy with this, get stuff you're not doing, that's what we'll do. So it's just getting it out for consultation. But I think water is working well, and we're getting a lot of people fixing leaks. As I've said, I'm one of them that's gone down from 3,000 to about 900. But the unintended consequences, some properties on the east where it's sandy, or I know large properties, large families can get a rebate, but when it's sandy, and I think if you wander around town, the place is looking a lot drier because people, I think, are scared, as Aaron would have said with his backyard. People are scared to water their lawn because they think, oh, it's going to cost me a fortune, and we're going to lose the Garden City feel about it over a period of time as trees don't get watered for a long time. The only other one I'll talk about is Brighton. We have at long last a developer who is keen and ready to go. We need to assist them in their design with doing our bit alongside them doing their bit, rather than they'll go ahead and then it'll be, oh, council hasn't done their bit, we've got to catch up. So it will save time and money if we work together with it. So I'm more than happy with just about all of the amendments. So let's get on to the next bit, which is voting on the amendments. I'll go through each amendment individually. Now, do we want division on all of them? I'd hopefully not, or what's the easiest thing to do?
Why don't you see if they
Okay, so every time I bring one up, I'll say, do we want a division on number 1, number 2, whatever, and then we can all say and go from there. Is that okay? Righto. So, number 1.
Number 1.
Okay. Yes.
That's what was suggested.
Yeah, that's it, rather, because it's a lot of work for Sam and her team to do that. So here we are. Amendment number 1. You can see that on the screen from Councillor Fields. So are we happy just to vote? Righto. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you very much. We're on a roll.
Number 1 gone.
Number 2.
Division.
That's all right. There will be some that will be division.
Okay. That was the end of the roll. Yeah.
Okay, so for Amendment 2, that is on screen. Deputy Mayor Cocker. Yes. Councillor Barber. No. Councillor Coker. Yes. Councillor Donovan. Yes. Councillor Fields. Yes. Councillor Goff.
No.
Councillor Harrison Hunt. Councillor Henstock.
No.
Councillor Johansson. Councillor Kewen.
No.
Councillor MacDonald.
No.
Councillor McLennan.
Yes.
Councillor Moore.
Abstain.
Councillor Peters. Yes. Councillor Scandrett.
No.
Councillor Templeton. And the Mayor.
No.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 against and 1 abstention.
Thank you very much.
It's carried.
Okay, so we're up to number 4. Is that right?
Yes.
Amendment 4.
So for clarity, Mayor, on Amendment 2, that is carried.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Amendment 2 is carried. Thank you. Amendment 4. All those in favour? All those against? No. Ooh. Righto, we have to have division. Sorry, Sam.
That's all right. That's what we're here for.
So for Amendment 4, Deputy Mayor Cotter? No. Councillor Barber?
Yes.
Councillor Coker? No. Councillor Donovan? Councillor Fields? Yes. Councillor Goff?
Yes.
Councillor Harrison Hunt? Yes. Councillor Henstock?
Yes.
Councillor Johansson?
Yes.
Councillor Kewen?
Yep.
Councillor MacDonald?
Yes.
Councillor McLennan?
No.
Councillor Moore?
No.
Councillor Peters?
Yes.
Councillor Scandrett?
Yes.
Councillor Templeton? The Mayor?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 for. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 against.
That is carried. Thank you very much. Right, rolling up to number 5.
This one needed division, I think.
Okay. Well, so I just say.
No,
so,
I think this will be a division.
So I cut out the middleman and just say carried. Righto. So Amendment 5, that's what's on the screen. So division, away you go, Sam, please.
Deputy Mayor Cotter?
No.
Councillor Barber?
Yes.
Councillor Coker? Councillor Donovan? Councillor Fields?
No.
Councillor Goff?
Yes.
Councillor Harrison Hunt?
No.
Councillor Henstock?
Yes.
Councillor Johansson?
Yes.
Councillor Kewen?
Yes.
Councillor MacDonald?
Yes.
Councillor McLennan?
No.
Councillor Moore?
No.
Councillor Peters?
Yes.
Councillor Scandrett?
No.
Councillor Templeton? The Mayor?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 for. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 against.
That's carried. Thank you.
Thank you. It's not very often I get a win. So.
Okay, so we're up to number 6. Right, I put amendment number 6. You can all see it there on the screen. All those in favour? Aye. Those against? Okay, that's carried.
Abstain from 6.
Yeah, just,
Sorry, I was on 6, sorry.
so you abstained. You're toast.
Yeah. Pauline pulling it. Yeah. Yeah.
How does that work?
This is what happens when
It's
you're a new
Tuesday.
councillor.
So Councillor Cotter is not abstaining. She is voting for.
Your debate swayed you.
That is carried now.
So we're going back to 6.
Yeah, 6 is carried.
6 is carried. Yeah, thank you. So now number 7. This is number 7, Pauline. This is number 7. This is Councillor Donovan's one. All those in favour? Aye. Those against? Carried. Thank you very much. Number 8, Amy's Road, Awatea. All those in favour? Aye. Those against? That's carried.
Oh, I think you might need to just count that.
Hands against.
Count it?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to do division to keep everyone happy.
Oh, hands up, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Is this for number 8?
Number 8.
Okay. Deputy Mayor Cotter? Councillor Barber?
No.
Councillor Coker?
No.
Councillor Donovan?
Yes.
Councillor Fields?
Yes.
Councillor Goff?
Yes.
Councillor Harrison Hunt?
Yes.
Councillor Henstock?
Yes.
Councillor Johansson?
Yes.
Councillor Kewen?
Yes.
Councillor MacDonald?
Yes.
Councillor McLennan? Councillor Moore?
Yes.
Councillor Peters? Yes. Councillor Scandrett?
Yes.
And Councillor Templeton? and the Mayor?
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 for, 3 against and 2 abstentions.
That is carried. Thank you very much.
Well done, Mark.
So we're up to, we missed number 9.
That's gone.
Is
so
that right?
We're now doing Amendment 10.
10. Amendment 10, which is just rolling up there.
There we are.
This is Yanni's one. All in favour? Aye. Against? Right. Division on that one, I think.
So for Amendment 10 on screen, Deputy Mayor Cotter? No. Councillor Barber? No. Councillor Coker? Councillor Donovan? Councillor Fields? No. Councillor Goff?
Yes.
Councillor Harrison Hunt? No. Councillor Henstock?
Yes.
Councillor Johansson? Yes. Councillor Kewen? Yes. Councillor MacDonald?
Yes.
Councillor McLennan? No. Councillor Moore?
No.
Councillor Peters? Yes. Councillor Scandrett? No. Councillor Templeton? The Mayor?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 against and 1 abstention.
So that is lost. Okay. So, and that's the end of them, is it?
We've got, and then we have to do recommendation 2 now, don't we? Recommendation 2.
No, we need to.
Yes, let's break for the rates.
Okay, so
and then break
45.
for
Shall we do the 45 minutes now?
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do that now.
Yeah. So, okay, guys. So, we'll break for lunch.
Do you have a figure for us?
I have the number.
Oh, we have the number already.
It's just like telethon, isn't it?
So the two
members.
Quite.
I know I'm between now and your lunch, but I just wanted to let you know. So as we talked about before, because some of the capital stuff that's gone through is not significant, it won't change the the 0.2 thing. So the only thing that has changed it based on your decisions today is the excess water. So you are now going to be at 5.68, so it's 0.1. Now, just to be clear, reading your amendments, so the consultation document will be changed to reflect that you have adopted the excess water change, and it will be noted in the consultation document, but that will change the number. In regards to the UAGC, you're only consulting on, this is question, that you're only consulting on the options, so we're not changing any of the other numbers, not that it changes the rates impact, but it does change obviously all our other numbers. Okay, so we're not intending to change anything, you're just putting a question in the consultation document in regards to the option to be considered. Is that correct? Yes? Because that's what the wording says. So we're comfortable with that? Yeah. So on that basis, you can proceed when you choose to go to the 5.68.
45 minutes. Yeah.
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
Okay, thank you. So we will come back here at 2 o'clock to resume today's exciting proceedings.
You want a bit longer?
2:30?
Yeah, we've got the.
You got something to do? All right. Everyone happy with 2:30?
Oh, it's too long.
Too long? Righto, let's go in the middle of this.
2:15.
2:15. See you here.